Welcome to The Explainer. I'm your host, and today we're breaking down a massive shift in technology that is literally changing everything about how we create. Okay, let's just dive right into this. Picture this. It's March 2026. A 17-year-old with absolutely zero coding background builds a fully working subscription-based web app over a single weekend.
Section 1. The Vibe Coding Revolution. So this 17-year-old, she literally just described what she wanted to an AI. The AI built it, and she launched it that Monday morning. And listen, this isn't some rare one-off story. This kind of thing is happening every single day, everywhere, right now. We're talking no computer science degree, no developer bootcamp, not a single line of code written by hand. Let me give you a few more examples. A product manager in London built his company's internal dashboard tool, something that normally would have taken a developer 3 solid weeks in just 4 hours. A small restaurant owner in Mumbai built a custom online ordering system without spending a single rupee on a developer. And a solo founder in Lagos went from a rough idea to a working app to actual paying customers in 72 hours.
The tool they all used actually has a name. In fact, in 2025, it became Collins Dictionary's official word of the year. It's called vibe coding, and it is completely, fundamentally changing who gets to build software and who doesn't.
Section 2. How vibe coding works. So, where did this term even come from? Well, vibe coding was coined back in February 2025 by Andrej Karpathy. If you don't know the name, he's one of the most respected AI researchers on the planet, former AI director at Tesla, co-founder of OpenAI. Basically, the person who helped build the very systems that made modern AI possible.
He described the concept like this. Instead of writing code, line by line, in some complex programming language, you just describe what you want in plain English, and the AI generates the code for you. You aren't learning syntax, you definitely aren't debugging missing semicolons, you're just describing an outcome. You're almost vibing your way through it. And that phrase caught on instantly because it captured something incredibly real. Within months, it was everywhere. Within a year, it had exploded into a $4.7 billion market. By April 2026, 63% of active vibe coding users weren't even developers. They were founders, designers, product managers, students, just everyday people who had an idea they wanted to build. The barrier to building software, which has existed for literally 70 years, just completely collapsed.
Let's get really precise about what this actually looks like in practice. Traditional coding works like this. You spend years learning a programming language, Python, JavaScript, whatever it is, and you use that language to give a computer very, very exact instructions. Every comma, every bracket, every semicolon matters. Make one mistake, and it breaks everything. It's tough. Vibe coding, on the other hand, works like this. You open up a tool, you type what you want in plain English, like, hey, build me a to-do app with a dark mode and a login screen. And the AI figures out what code that requires and just writes it for you. Then you give it feedback. Make the button bigger, or add a search bar, or let users export this to a PDF. The AI updates the code instantly. You never even have to touch the code directly. It's honestly more like having a conversation with a super fast developer than it is like traditional programming.
And the results we're seeing are genuinely surprising. Take Lovable, for example, one of the top vibe coding platforms out there right now. They're already supporting 100,000 daily projects. Cursor, which is the tool a lot of professional developers prefer, hit $2 billion in annual recurring revenue. The entire market is now worth $4.7 billion and is projected to hit an unbelievable $12.3 billion by 2027.
Before we get into exactly how it works and what specific tools you should use, you really need to hear these numbers. They prove this is absolutely not just hype. 84% of developers are now using or planning to use AI coding tools. That's up from 76% in 2024. 51% of professional developers use these tools every single day. 41% of all code committed to GitHub globally, it's now AI-generated or AI-assisted. And as we mentioned, the whole market hit $4.7 billion in 2026, growing at a massive 38% annually. That is nearly twice as fast as the broader software market. But here is the real kicker. The stat that changes absolutely everything. 63% of active vibe coding users are non-developers. Let that sink in. The majority of people building apps with AI today are not programmers.
Gartner actually predicts that by the end of 2026, 60% of all new code written is going to be AI-generated. And by 2030, vibe coding is projected to represent 80% of a developer's daily work. So yeah, this is not just some little side trend. This is the new baseline for how software gets built.
Section 3.
app building step by step. Let's actually walk through what vibe coding looks like from start to finish, assuming you are a complete beginner.
Okay, the crucial thing to understand here is just how insanely simple this process has become. Step 1, you describe your idea. You jump into a tool like Lovable or Bolt and type something like, "Build me a habit tracking app. Users can add habits, check them off daily, and see a streak counter. Make it clean and modern." Step 2, the AI builds a first version. Within seconds, the tool generates a working app. Real code, real interface, real functionality. You can click around and use it immediately. It is not just a visual mockup, it actually works. Step 3, you give feedback in plain English. You look at it and say, the font is too small, or add a way for users to set a daily reminder, or I want it to look more like Instagram. The AI makes those changes right in front of you. Step 4, you publish it. Most of these tools let you deploy your app with just one click. Your app gets a real web address and anyone can use it. No opening a terminal, no running npm install, no digging through Stack Overflow, and definitely no crying over debugging sessions at 2 a.m. This entire process used to take a developer weeks, or it would cost you $5,000 to outsource. Now, a totally non-technical person can knock it out in a single afternoon.
Section 4. Best Vibe Coding Tools. The landscape of these platforms has totally exploded, so here is how to think about which tool is actually right for you.
For complete beginners, people with absolutely zero technical background, Lovable is the clear standout. You just describe your app in plain English, and it builds a full-stack web application. We're talking real front-end, real back-end, and a real database. It's raised massive funding, reached $20 million in annual revenue, and supports 100,000 daily projects. Honestly, it's the absolute fastest route from an idea to a working app if you don't code. Then there's Bolt.new, which is your speed champion. It's entirely browser-based, meaning there's no setup and no downloads. You just describe what you want, and within seconds, you get a shareable link to a working prototype. It's perfect for testing an idea incredibly fast. Now, for folks who want more control, Cursor is the professional's choice. It's an AI-powered code editor that actually knows your entire code base. Developers describe what they want, and Cursor writes, explains, and refactors the code, all while keeping the developer right in the loop. It hit $2 billion in annual recurring revenue and a wild $29.3 billion valuation. It's used every single day by engineers at some of the biggest tech companies in the world. Windsurf by Codium is another major player, built specifically for complex, multi-file projects. It can edit across your entire codebase at once, not just the single file you happen to be looking at, which makes it the go-to for developers working on large-scale production systems. And for specific use cases, V0 by Vercel is the absolute best for building UI components in React. Designers and front-end developers absolutely love it for generating polished, production-ready interface elements. Replit is amazing for learning and cloud-based development. You can code, run, and deploy straight from your browser with zero local setup. Finally, GitHub Copilot is the most affordable option out there at just $10 a month. It integrates directly into your existing code editor and suggests code for you as you type. So to give you the practical, rapid-fire split for 2026, got no coding background? Start with Lovable. Want a prototype super fast? Use Bolt.new. You're already a developer? Use Cursor. Building a React UI? Go with V0.
Section 5. Risks and Career Impact. Okay, here is where we have to be brutally honest. Because vibe coding, it's amazing, but it is not magic.
The honest truth is that vibe coding is totally transformative for prototypes, MVPs, internal tools, and simple apps. But for anything really serious, like high-traffic production systems, apps handling sensitive user data, or financial infrastructure, you absolutely still need experienced engineers to review and verify exactly what the AI is producing. The tools are incredible, but they are definitely not infallible.
There's this really fascinating trust paradox at play right now. 96% of developers say they don't fully trust that AI-generated code is functionally correct. Yet, only 48% actually take the time to review it before deploying. That is a massive problem. In fact, 63% of developers have spent more time debugging AI-generated code than they would have spent just writing it themselves in the first place. The AI writes code fast, sure, but fast code isn't always good code.
There's also a serious security concern to think about. A Stanford study actually found that developers using AI tools wrote less secure code than those who didn't, while simultaneously feeling way more confident about its security. That is a pretty dangerous combination. Which brings up the exact question that naturally makes a lot of people nervous. If AI can write all this code, why would anyone ever hire a developer again? Well, the answer, right now, in 2026, is it's complicated. Senior developers, those with 10+ years of experience, they're reporting 81% productivity gains from Vibe coding tools. They aren't being replaced at all. They're just becoming dramatically more powerful. A single senior engineer using AI can now do the work that used to require an entire team. Junior developers, though, those with 0 to 3 years of experience, face a completely different picture. 40% of junior developers actually admit they deploy AI-generated code without fully understanding it. And that is a huge skill development problem. If you don't understand the code you're shipping, you literally can't debug it when it inevitably breaks. The developers who are really thriving in 2026 are the ones using Vibe coding tools to handle all the boring repetitive parts, the boilerplate, the standard patterns, the routine refactors, while focusing their own human judgment on the architecture, the security, the performance, and the parts that genuinely require deep, critical thinking. The developers who are struggling, they're the ones who expected the tools to do the thinking for them entirely. But for non-developers, the opportunity has literally never been bigger. Ideas that used to require a $50,000 development budget can now be validated for free. The only question now is whether your idea is actually good, not whether you have the technical skills to code it.
Section 6. The future of software. For the last 70 years, building software required learning an entirely separate language. That was a gate. It was a very high, very expensive, very time-consuming gate. Most people just never bothered. Most great ideas never got built. But Vibe coding didn't just make coding a little bit easier. It completely opened the gate. Now the person who understands a problem the deepest, the nurse, the teacher, the restaurant owner, the small business operator, they can build the solution themselves, without having to ask a developer to translate their idea, without losing something crucial in that translation. That is a genuinely historic shift in how we create.
Microsoft's CTO has actually predicted that 95% of all code will be AI-generated within just 5 years. And honestly, whether or not that specific number turns out to be exactly right, the direction we're heading is perfectly clear. Code is becoming a commodity. The scarce thing is no longer the ability to write the code. The scarce thing is knowing what to build and why you're building it. That is a fundamentally human skill, and it always will be.
So here is where we finally land. Vibe coding went from a freshly coined phrase in February 2025 to Collins Dictionary's Word of the Year to a $4.7 billion market in just over a single year. 63% of the people using it right now are not developers. 46% of all code being written globally today is AI generated. These tools are free to start, they are powerful enough to build real products, and they are literally improving every single month. The gate is wide open.
The only question left is, what will you build? If you found this explainer useful, please share it with someone who has an idea they've never built just because they thought they couldn't, because now they absolutely can. And please, make sure to like and subscribe to The Explainer. We break down the tools shaping the world right now in plain English with no jargon and absolutely no fluff. See you in the next one.